Okay guys, I thought I'd just show you here. Okay guys, I thought I'd just show you here on the Ford 6000 what it looks like with the pump removed. There's a rubber coupler. I can't hold the flashlight at the same time, but you can see that coupler in there. It's rubber, and it's where the pump slides into. So it wasn't too bad to remove it. It's just the biggest thing is taking all the injector lines loose. And then there's this bracket right here. That's on the bottom of the pump, and the way the book makes it sound, you're supposed to remove it when you take with the pump, but the problem is it wants to hit up against the oil housing there, the oil filter housing. So I took it off. I don't know why you would need to leave it on. The way it looks, you wouldn't need to. So and here's the pump removed. So and there's that deal that you slide into the rubber coupler. So I'm gonna take this to the injection pump shop this week and see if we can't get it figured out what's going on with it. If it must be something sticky in there is all we can figure. So anyways, I just thought I'd give you guys a little update on what's going on with it. So what's that? It's see it. Why is he not firing? This should start. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's started either. Let's crank it over. That's weird. Why isn't it not? Yeah, you start to eat it there. That's just still not good. The only other scenario it's not getting hot enough to make the fuel. I might have to do a compression test on it. That might be the next thing I have to do. I don't know. Let's see. Primary acceptable estimate. Air intake system plug. Cold engine shielding. Pilot screw adjustment not okay. Hi guys, I just wanted to record a little segment here about the Ford 6000. It's been like I think around 6 weeks since we got the injection pump put on here. Today is December 18th. It was sometime in early November. Maybe Paul will have the date on this video when we got it fixed. But I just wanted to say a few things about it. First of all, I just want to thank Bill the Tractor Man for giving me some pointers and some information about this pump. And I guess the biggest thing that I want to say is if you're not familiar with any of the older Ford tractors and you buy one, one thing you need to know about these Sims pumps is that they are not a self-oiling pump. You know, like I think I explained it earlier in a video. It's right. Where is it? You add the oil up here, and I think this is where you unscrew it to check the oil level. And then you're supposed to change oil on this every time that you change oil on your engine. And the reason being, there's a viewer to the channel that he's wrote a couple comments about this tractor. I guess he used to work on them back in the day when they were new. And I appreciate all of his advice that he's given me about this tractor. But anyways, he was saying that the plungers in there, a little bit of fuel will leak by them, and it will cause, you get a little bit of diesel in with the oil, and of course it loses its lubricancy over time. And obviously too, they can go dry because that's what happened with this pump. And so what happened with this pump was that the previous owner didn't know or didn't take the time to look and see that it was dry. And what happened is it got filled up with rust in there, and that's what seized the plungers up, was all that rust. And so at the injection shop, they said they were gonna have to send the pump off because the cam in there was full of rust. And so at the injection shop, they said that the cam was full of rust, and that they were going to have to send it off to get reground, and then they were going to have to build up with weld and regrind it again. And I don't think, they could do it exactly at their shop. They had to send it off to someplace else. And anyways, originally they told me it was going to take like 2 months to get this thing done. And they called me like 2 weeks later and they said, well, we got your pump done. So that was kind of nice that they could get it done that fast, because we were able to put this thing on when it was warmer weather out yet. So, but we've used it like, we ground a couple batches of feed with it after we got it running. I used it on the auger for unloading soybeans, some of the soybeans this fall. And then after that, I just took and power washed it, just gave it a good bath for the winter time while the weather was still warm. And then I put it back here in the garage, so it was able to be ready for the winter time anyways. So but that's kind of the story about it. Just make sure if you have an older Ford, I talked to one of the mechanics at our New Holland dealership, and he's been a mechanic there for over 50 years, so he's very knowledgeable about a lot of the older Ford tractors. He said that he's only worked on one of these tractors like once in his lifetime, because they didn't become a Ford dealership. Before they were a Ford, they were a Case. So he knows a lot about the older Case tractors, but
not exactly this old of Ford tractors. They became a dealer, I think, like in the mid 70s. But anyways, he knows a lot about, he's familiar with these Sims pumps. And he told me that I think it's through the TW series, they use Sims pumps. And I think when they got to the TW series, that's when they started making them. They ran a line, oil line to them so that they would be self-oiling and you didn't have to change the oil and stuff to them. So, but if you buy an older Ford tractor, make sure you read your operator's manual or talk to your New Holland dealer. Just make sure about those things so that you don't have this happen. Even if I had put oil in here on day one when I bought it, it still would have seized up eventually because it was full of rust, and it's just, that's not good for it. So I just wanted to give that advice to everybody to make sure that you do that. The main thing that I wanted to point out here is that the reason why it took so many tries to get the tractor started is that we got it off time. When I got the pump bolted back up on here, down inside of here, there's like where the pump meets up to the tractor, there's like what they call a Lovejoy coupler. And anyways, you're supposed to make sure that you get the clearance in there when the two couplers meet together. You don't want to have too much clearance, otherwise inside of your pump there you could hurt your bearings. So we were working at trying to get that adjusted. You know, we had a feeler gauge and we were checking it to get the right gap so it wasn't too much, and we loosened up, there's like a bolt I think where the couplers, it's been so long since I've done this, but there's like a bolt on the top and then a bolt on the bottom, and when we were trying to get that tightened up right, there's supposed to be a hole up here and then there's another hole down here, but you can't really get a wrench in down here, there's just not enough room. And so when we were spinning it over to get it so we could, you know, tighten it up or whatever, we got it off time, and that's why it wasn't firing off. You know, we'd give it some ether and then it wouldn't, it still wouldn't go. So I called up to the injection pump shop and I talked to the technician that worked in the pump, and he's really knowledgeable in these Sims pumps, and he had a service manual there, so he looked it up too, and he told me that it sounded like to him that it was a timing issue, and so he walked me through how I needed to get it timed back up again. So down, you probably can't see it in here, but there's on that main pulley that comes off of the engine, there's like that's where your timing marks are, and then there's a little pointer deal on there, and we got that. We had to figure out where 26 degrees bottom top dead center is, because that's where it needs to be timed up. And anyways, down underneath the tractor, there's a little cover for the flywheel that you could take off, and then I got down there with a screwdriver and I was turning it over. So, and then Paul was up front here watching to see where that 26 degrees bottom top dead center was. And then when we got lined up, then we followed the procedure he set up here, you know, tightening things up properly, the proper way. And then after that, then it fired up. You know, after we bled off the system, then it fired up. So that was the main reason why it wasn't starting up, and it took us so many tries, because we just didn't realize that we had gotten it off of time when we were checking that gap there on that coupler. But we made sure we had it timed up correctly when we took it off. So that's why, you know, we thought we put it back on, it would be correct. And it would have been, hadn't we, you know, messed around with that. And then also, I would just like to take this time to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I would like to thank all the viewers to the channel for watching. And hopefully Paul will be able to get some more videos out here soon. You know, now we just got done with harvest the other day. We just had a really wet fall here. And like the far away field, we could not get over there until the ground was frozen because it was just too wet. So we've been doing a lot of the harvest here in late November and now through mid-December. So it's been definitely a different fall. You know, it was a very challenging harvest, but the yields were pretty good despite the year starting out dry and then just not getting a ton of rain until, you know, late in the season. But the crops really turned out pretty well for the conditions that we had. So I just want to, like I say thank you to everybody for watching, and we should have some really good harvest videos coming up. I know Paul, he's been recording a lot of stuff. And I also want to say, you know, I always appreciate the comments in the comment section. I always enjoy talking to everybody, and I thank all of you for, you know, writing good and polite comments. I always try to, when I write comments on other people's channel, you know, I try to treat them as I would, you know, like somebody to treat me. So I appreciate all the good comments and all the feedback from people. Because I always learn something when they, you know, have suggestions to make and stuff. And I guess one other thing I was gonna mention too, here on the 6000, if anybody out there knows a little bit about the PTO on here, it turns when the tractor is running, and so the brake must be getting bad on here, and it's not so bad that if you hook something up to it, it'll keep turning. It will hold it then. Once, you know, the PTO shaft is hooked up to it, it won't turn until you actually turn the PTO on. So I did buy a service manual for it when I was going to do that injection pump, because I just wanted to, you know, get some pointers on doing that, taking that pump off and putting it back on. So, and then the other thing is the hydraulics on here, I'm not sure if something's wrong with them. I maybe got to play around with, let's see, these two valves here, the knobs for them. Otherwise, I don't know if there might be something wrong with it. Because I think earlier this summer I tried it on the auger, and that's just a single acting remote cylinder. And this isn't exactly set up for it right now. I think it has something to do with these hoses. You need to disconnect it and plug it or something for single acting. But usually on a tractor, it'll run, that's set up for a double cylinder. It will run it, but it just will be really slow if it's single acting. And this wouldn't even run it. So this fall, when I was going to clean up the tractor, I thought, well, I'm just going to go over to our bale elevator, because that's, you know, a double cylinder. And I tried it on there and it wouldn't raise it up and down. But one of these valves was kind of sticky there, and I couldn't turn it. I didn't have a pliers to try to turn it. But I think when I did the auger this summer, I did try both those valves, turning them, and it didn't make any difference. So there maybe is something wrong there. But I'm not in too big of a hurry to fix it. The main thing is that, you know, the tractor is running, and like I say, even though that PTO does turn when the tractor is running, it will stop once the PTO is hooked up. So I'm not going to spend any money on those kind of things right now. I just thought if anybody out there has some advice about those things, knows anything about them, and they'd like to leave a message in the comment section, I'd appreciate it. So once again, everybody, thanks again for watching, and we'll catch y'all later.